What is the most NSFW thing you have seen at an office gathering or party? Went as a date to a lawyer girl's work party. Open bar. Phenomenal food. Everything was amazing except the smell periodically through the night. Turns out one of the younger interns found out he never got the job opening. So he shitted himself and drank all night, acting as if nothing ever happened. We bought our boss's Santa lingerie as a gag gift. She tried it on in front of us and proceeded to do a striptease dance, all the while screaming out how her husband was going to love this. She's 54. Edit. I worked at a call center. I am a female. 16 years old at the time. So the answer was still is. No, I did not particularly enjoy it. Went out for drinks with coworkers after service. It was a lunch-focused restaurant, and by the end of the night, one of our cashiers decided to lactate on me from across the table. Pics. Last year's work Christmas party. One woman, known for overdrinking, overdrank. She came to sit at the table I was at and proceeded to sit down. Where there WSS no chair. Straight on her ass. Later that night she was grinding on one of the boss's girlfriends and apparently tried to talk the boss and his girl into a three-way. She is still confused why she didn't get the promotion she was going for at the time. That would have granted her a company credit card and had her taking clients out to dinners. Company credit card and taking clients out for dinner might sound awesome. But all I'm hearing is working in your off time and more paperwork. Work party. One guy took a shitty in the toilet followed by grabbing the vacuum cleaner and sucking it all up. First Christmas party at a tech startup. Go to the bathroom towards the end of the night. Realize mid-piss that the sounds coming from the stall next mine are the CTO and his wife going at it. Step out of the stall and the CEO and some sales guys are doing lines. CEO sees me and shouts, "Hey, it's Jared." My name isn't Jared. He called me Jared for about 6 months after that until I pulled him aside and corrected him one day. Fun times. Our company Christmas party had a tequila ice luge. One of our Class A drivers got so wasted he was doing flips on the dance floor and juggling Corona bottles. Then he went and sat on a 19-year-old girl's lap and her mom went ballistic. He was kicked out and proceeded to drive himself home. What a guy. Edit. Let me answer a couple of questions. It's a rock and roll type company so heavy drinking is accepted. Not driving drunk though. Both mom and daughter work for the company and are quite bitchy. Driver is late 30s. He drove for the circus for years and apparently picked up a couple tricks along the way. The worst part of him driving was the company paid for Ubers to and from the party. Oh. And no, not Wisconsin. Why did a 19-year-old invite her mom? Or, why did some middle-aged woman invite her 19-year-old? Christmas party. Married HR woman had an orgy with 5 of the warehouse workers. All still work there. HR woman is still married. Edit. Alright. My mistake. It was a gangbang. Not an orgy. As far as I know. Sorry. This sounds more like a gangbang. I saw a woman squirt champagne from her vagina into the mouth of the woman who juicy inserted a champagne bottle into said vagina. I worked as a PRN editor at the time, so it was appropriate to the situation. Co-worker threw his desk chair out of a 4-story window after having a few too many. Damn. That's a big window. Didn't witness this one but heard that this happened just a few months before I was hired. We had a wine tasting for the managers with just some cheese, minor hors d'oeuvres, etc. One particular manager got completely sloshed on wine and got super flirty with another manager from a different department who was significantly younger and good looking. At some point, this young lady put some scented lotion on her hands. Smelling this, the drunk manager came over to her and pulled his dick out and asked her to put some lotion on there too. Right in the middle of the room and tasting. I heard he was gone instantly. He was recently found out to currently be a tour guide on a duck boat and a bad one at that. Tour guide on a duck boat? I have no idea what that means. And I also realize I have no idea what ducks do in their free time. Saw a drunk dude getting a handy under the table from another drunk dude. Both of them were supposedly straight when not drunk. Brodger. Used to work for a big bank. We had a little potluck for Christmas. And long story short, about 2 hours later, someone shat tea in the bathroom and smeared it literally. And I mean literally. All over the bathroom stalls. The wall. The stall door handle. The toilet sensor. F-king everywhere. It looked like a XXL Hershey bar stepped on an IED. He never did quite catch the elusive poop handle bandit. Legend says he's still out there, ravaging the latrines of financial institutions to this day. Worked in a warehouse for a while. We had regular awards nights where we'd all get FK'd up and hand out stupid awards like Driver of the Year for the person who had the worst forklift accident. Or who crashed her work car. Other things of note. 1. Doing lines with the boss off his desk every party. 2. Married co-workers banging in the car park. 3. The mentally handicapped and very drunk cleaner getting wrapped in packing tape by 3 guys. 4. Having forklift races in the aisles of the warehouse. Forklifts being driven by guys who are plastered. 5. My husband's old company decided that they weren't going to invite spouses to the Christmas party. Okay. I dropped him off so he could drink freely. No big deal. After he called me to pick him up, I ended up waiting in my car for nearly half an hour. Watching some of his male co-workers through the window getting lap dances from some female co-workers. There's likely a reason the bosses decided to not invite spouses. It means that they didn't have to bring their own spouses either and they could let loose, for lack of a better term. Karaoke started with 2 assistants. Both women. Doing a ballad together. In rapid succession. On the stage. And with plenty of drinks between, the following things happened. Those 2 women sing a few songs while clutching each other and giggling the entire time. Some less than wholesome dancing together to a George Michael song. Remaining on the stage, one of them sits in a rolling chair while the other serenades, gives a lap dance to her to Santa Baby. At this point, another woman in the office decides it's best to throw some cold water on this party by cutting off the karaoke and play a Christmas music CD. First song is All I Want for Christmas Is You. The 2 women turn this into what seems like the perfect song to S.I. Sloden's Too Much Caressing and Grinding happening. They are finally broken up once they start making out and light groping each other while trying to hide behind a Santa hat that one of them is holding up, covering their faces. And then, oh boy. It was at our annual awards dinner where they award Department of the Year, Employee of the Year, a couple other things for people who'd been there a long time. Woman from my department showed up with a bottle of vodka in her purse. The meal was free. The booze wasn't. And it was expensive. So people at the table were getting sodas, free, and mixing at the table. It happened every year. The venue mostly overlooked it. Woman who brought the bottle drank quite a lot of it. I mean, probably half of it herself over the course of the evening. When the dancing started later on, she was boombied. She was wearing this strappy dress that she kept falling out of. At one point she was pulling it up. 2. To show off her thong. At some point she lost said thong and was sitting on the stage with her skirt pushed up to her hips and showing off everything. She got fired. Classic Meredith. I went to a customer's holiday party. It was a bit of a good old boy company. So it was at the shop and mostly drinking and grilling with funny awards. It was mandatory and had a dress code. So all these guys were as cleaned up as they could get. But in clothes that didn't fit right anymore ever and whatnot. Also a sausage fest since women are rare in industry and most if the guys were bachelors. The guys drank like it was water in the desert and decided to move it to a local bar they frequent. Well, that bar was hosting the holiday party for a lab and was a total clam bake until we showed up. You mix drunk nerdy girls and drunk manly men and you end up with a lot of finger banging and it ain't discreet. It was a match made in heaven. Absolutely no fallout. The female bartender was egging them on and the boss men had gone to a different bar. They often ran into those girls at lunch there. but there were no repeat performances. A coworker once stood on a swivelly chair. A group of girls pre-gamed the Christmas party pretty hard. They show up wearing prom dresses and 20 minutes later, the most smashed if the girls is out back with her prom dress hiked up above her waist, panties at her knees, bent over taking it from some dude. This set the tone for the rest of the night. Marriages were unintentionally put on hold so drunken co-workers could gain carnal knowledge of each other. Many walks of shame the following day. You guys hiring? Our payroll manager got blackout drunk at a Christmas party a few years ago and started insulting people and telling them that they weren't worth how much they were getting paid, while quoting the actual salaries. She was fired the next day, but didn't even remember what she'd done. We had a Mardi Gras themed holiday party. One guy decided to bring his saxophone and be a jazz man. Normal enough, right? Well, he also thought that to be a jazz man, he needed to show up in blackface. Luckily, this is rural Wisconsin and no one at the company was black, so we all just got really drunk and told him he's an idiot. Luckily, this is rural Wisconsin and no one at the company was black. Honestly not sure if this makes it better or worse. There was a co-worker who arrived in a giant baby diaper with nothing else on except sneakers. And someone smeared chocolate frosting on his diaper at some point. Not super wild, but this was a dry party. I worked at Macca's and we had a work party. Some of the crew volunteered to run the night shift while the rest of us went 10-pin bowling and drank scrumpies. I was a manager, so I got to see the camera footage the next day. It was of me walking around the restaurant and kitchen with my pants down, shaping my balls to look like a brain and making people look at my taut scrot. There were also brown eyes and squashed rats, which is where you press your dick and balls up against the glass. That was me in the drive-through window. I woke up horrified and knew I was in trouble. There was a small fallout. I miraculously didn't get fired. No one formally complained. My punishment was to wash car windows as they went through drive-through on my day off and donate the tips to the Ronald McDonald House charity. When I used to work for a large corporate law firm, a guy and a girl who both worked in the accounts team got in an argument. One thing led to another and the girl threw her glass of red wine over his white shirt. Without missing a beat, he just grabbed her by the throat and started choking her. This was just off the side of the dance floor, in front of 300+ staff. Went to bar for after party. Dude was playing pool with girls. Was getting killed. Whipped his balls out and put out them on that table. That sounds like a quick way to lose any chance at having children. A bunch of people from the office decided to get together and head to a foam party. One of the girls got white girl wasted and stripped down to nothing but her panties and danced on one of the tables. Made for an interesting night. Thanksgiving at my shop. We all drew hand turkeys on the whiteboard. My co-worker, who is also my friend before we started working there, trying to have sex with his GF in a river, while the whole company was around, along with their significant others and family. P.S. My co-worker basically diddled herself in the middle of my boss's wedding reception, in front of most of my boss's extended family. Good times. First year at the company. Married CEO all over an employee pretty much in front of the whole company. Awkward AF. Both really drunk. The fact that they didn't start making out in front of everyone was a Christmas miracle. My Christmas party is on Friday. Guess I should just stick to beer. All 30 of us ended up on top of a mountain at sunrise. Naked and drunk. We then went for breakfast and back to work. Edit. Christ, this blew up. CEO slapped my ass in front of my boyfriend and kissed a co-worker in front of her husband. Edit. His slapping my ass was not invited and I was thoroughly enraged. I don't know about his kissing my co-worker though. I was the one who started giving him head in the middle of the party. It's okay though. We're still together to this day. That is one lucky maintenance man. At our Christmas party recently, I put a co-worker on my shoulders and carried him along so he could attach some tinsel to the beams in the roof. That was pretty unsafe. Summer Clark event. Clark has brought his GF, who was very attractive. Marizo, that you would have thought this Clark capable. And everyone is having a good time. Dinner ends and people are deciding where to go out drinking. When server shows up with a tray full of tequila shots. Partner's wife has ordered about 15-20 shots for the maybe 10 people still standing there. Anyway, we start to get to work on the shots, and now partner's wife, who we are realizing is really drunk, wants to do body shots. Long story short, a minute later, partner's wife is sucking salt of the nape of Clark's GF's neck while everyone, but mostly the Clark, is nervously laughing. We all head to the bar. Except partner and wife apparently go home rather than join us. Clark and GF don't last much longer as the wheels come flying off her wagon at the bar about 15 minutes later. Good times. Good times. For your information, Clark is now a 4th year associate and I don't believe I've seen the partner's wife at a firm function in quite some time. My supervisor and I somehow ended up on the couch in the basement of another co-worker's Christmas party. Watching Demon PRN. Used to work as a pressman. In an old school magazine poster print house. Where the print side is mostly male and post treatment mostly female. For the most part 50+ old. Pressmen are traditionally very keen on getting their drink on, this being Finland in the 90s. Well, suffice to say there were always loads of drunk people at our events. Most parties were disbanded after first few wrestling bouts. It was usually around the 3rd or so round of playful test of strength that someone got angry for real and then fists became involved. I have no idea why. But they were always wrestling. Guys in their 40s and 50s. Drunk as FCK. Wrestling. Always some groping. But those ladies had been around these kinds of guys for decades. So they just slapped them off or used that commanding tone blue collar working women sometimes develop. A harsh goddamn Tim. Behave. Would always calm everyone down for at least good 10 minutes. 2 lesbian girls drooling all over each other and smashing into things. Creepy bald guy hitting on every single Taiwanese girl he could find. And a half-naked dude tied to a pillar. But this was at the office pub. An exec looked at a picture of my wife and did a little nod and wink while we drank gin and tonics. The absolute madman. My ex-girlfriend's parents own a restaurant and every year they throw a huge Christmas party. The party is always great and is open bar with a great band playing. One year when I was walking into the kitchen to restock the beer, I opened the door to see a dishwasher and a waitress having sex on the dishwasher counter. A friend of mine told me a story about a secret Santa they had at a job. There was a woman she worked with that had a reputation for sleeping around with management to try to advance her career. She was known to disappear with people in management from time to time during work hours and had been walked in on once. Her secret Santa that year got her a pair of knee pads. She opened them in front of the entire staff. She and everyone else knew exactly what they were for. She freaked out and ran straight to management, whom she's been effing. There was an investigation but they couldn't figure out who had done it because it was anonymous. They stopped doing secret Santa from then on. She left the company after she realized that her secret rendezvous with management were actually well known throughout the entire company. I worked in southern Louisiana for an internship for a semester. And to celebrate a year of no injuries in the workplace, our lead supervisor decided to throw a keg party in the back parking lot of the plant. The outrageous part was that she ended up ordering 16 kegs of beer for probably around 100 people. Needless to say, there were some stumbling, grumbling Cajuns that almost didn't make it home that afternoon. Never seen that before in my life. On company property in the daylight. No Christmas party for me. In fact 80% of our office, including me, are fired on the 14th. Our biggest competitor bought the company back in June and figured the 14th of December was a great time to con nearly everyone. Happy holidays. Doucher bags. But we are having a last day get together Wednesday night, and at that point I plan on not so subtly reminding our smoking hot HR manager that we are now no longer co-workers. I worked at Playboy. So, everything? Technically it would all be safe for work. A friend of mine who passed away too young from too much partying did this at a company picnic. A group of us were sitting at a picnic table and my friend comes over and places a hot dog bun on the table. He proceeds to whip out his penis and places it in the bun. He yells out that he has a foot long if someone wants one. One of the gay guys sitting with us says that he would love one. My friend has this shocked look on his face and picks up and leaves.